This is Rummy's Corner. Over the last 20 years, I've spent an awful lot of time participating in online boxing forums dating back to the late 90s. And one thing I've noticed when it comes to boxing history is a lot of the same topics frequently surface. Whether it's debating who's the best pound-for-pound boxer of all time, or whether it's arguing over the top 10 boxers from any given weight class, or even a lot of speculation over rematches that never happened. What would have happened if George Foreman got an immediate rematch against Muhammad Ali? Or if Mike Tyson got an immediate rematch with Buster Douglas? Or more recently, what would have happened if Lennox Lewis had a return bout against Vitaly Klitschko? And of course, there are other varieties of hypothetical matchups that are popular, one of the most popular being who would have won between prime versions of Ali and Tyson. Another common debate involves the variety of who really won. This topic often arises whenever people are discussing historically significant matchups that resulted in close and somewhat controversial decisions. The textbook example of this is the classic middleweight showdown between Marvelous Marvin Hagler and Sugar Ray Leonard. During all the time I've spent participating on online boxing forums, the debate over whether Hagler deserved to win against Leonard, that's one subject that continues to produce spirited debate to this very day, more than 30 years after the fight happened. So did Hagler deserve the victory against Leonard? I myself haven't taken the time to score that fight in a number of years, so let's take a quick look back at the action on a round-by-round basis. It was April 6th, 1987 at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas, Nevada. Reigning WBC middleweight world champion Marvelous Marvin Hagler put his championship on the line against former two-division world champion Sugar Ray Leonard. The action began with both boxers showing each other a lot of mutual respect, as Hagler began things out of an orthodox stance. Ray was using a lot of lateral movement, and he clearly wanted to keep Hagler on the outside. Leonard was the busier fighter, and he was landing some quick jabs and short, fast combinations. Leonard was tying Hagler up whenever he got too close, and Hagler was having a lot of difficulty getting into punching range. This was a clear round for Leonard, and all three of the official judges scored it as such. In round 2, Hagler again began things fighting orthodox, and Leonard resumed using outstanding lateral movement. Hagler landed a nice left hook, but Marvin was still having problems discovering his range. Hagler was a little busier this round, but he was still being outworked by Leonard. Ray was also still effectively smothering Hagler on the inside, and Leonard was also landing some nice isolated looping shots, and he continued landing short, speedy combinations. This was a closer round, and you can maybe make a case for this round for Hagler, but I think it's a bit of a stretch. I scored the second round for Leonard, and all three of the official judges agreed with that. Hagler began the third fighting southpaw, and he almost immediately began closing the distance better than he had been. But Sugar Ray's superior hand speed and quicker feet were serving him well. Ray was still doing a great job smothering Hagler when he got too close, and Leonard was also starting to land some sneaky rights as he continued putting his punches together well in short combinations. I scored round 3 for Leonard, as did Moretti and Guerra, and Lou Filippo scored this round for Hagler. But in my opinion, if Hagler won any rounds to this point, I think his best case was round 2. Hagler was closing the gap more effectively in round 4, and this enabled him to be more active on offense. Through the first 2 minutes of the round, Marvin was doing the better work, and Leonard was mostly fighting defensively while throwing far fewer punches than he had been. But later in the round, Leonard landed a nice flashy bolo punch to the body, and Leonard also put together a really nice combination as the fourth was drawing towards an end. This was a very close round where Ray did the flashier work in the final minute, but I thought Hagler did the better work throughout the round. I scored round 4 for Marvelous Marvin Hagler. Filippo also scored the round for Hagler, but Moretti and Huera both had it for Leonard. In round 5, Leonard was starting to find ways to land more right hands, and Hagler began using his jab more effectively to work inside to mid-range or closer. Leonard was landing sharper punches this round than in the previous round, and he was also more active, but Hagler was landing a lot of nice clubbing shots, and Marvin roughed Leonard up a couple of times during the final minute of the round. This was another very close round, but on the whole, I thought Hagler was more effective. All 3 judges scored this round for Hagler as well, but I think you could make a case for Ray in round 5. Leonard started becoming a bit more stationary in round 6, and Hagler wisely began investing more energy on attacking the body. Even though Leonard wasn't moving as much, he was sitting on his punches more and he started landing harder shots with more consistency. Leonard was also making Hagler miss more even though he was using less lateral movement, and Sugar Ray ended the round with a sweet combination. I scored round 6 for Sugar Ray Leonard, and all 3 of the official judges did so as well. So at the halfway point in the contest, Filippo had it dead even at 57 apiece, whereas judges Moretti and Huera both had it 59 to 55 for Leonard. I myself had it 58 to 56 for Leonard, but on the official scorecards, Hagler had dug himself into a deep hole at the midway point. Hagler opened the 7th with a nice hook, and Leonard tied him up. Ray had a nice combination early, and then Hagler started finding more ways to get work done on the inside. Leonard was fighting more flat-footed, but he still kept his cool while putting together some really fast flurries. Hagler was operating with some mean intensity, and he was landing some very solid blows. This was another fairly close round, but I scored this one for Hagler, as did judges Filippo and Moretti. Huera scored the round for Leonard. Hagler came out for the 8th jabbing with authority, as Ray continued firing off some speedy combinations whenever he could. Hagler continued working behind a solid jab, and this helped create more openings where Hagler was landing some fierce short combinations of his own. Leonard adjusted by making more use of the ring space, and he resumed using the type of lateral movement the way he had been earlier. The 8th round saw some good back and forth action, with both boxers having some moments. I scored the 8th round for Hagler, as did judges Moretti and Filippo, with Huera once again being the lone judge awarding the round to Leonard. Leonard landed a flashy combination early in round 9, but before long, Hagler really started working Ray over against the ropes, as he landed one big clubbing shot after another. It was a vicious assault from Marvelous Marvin Hagler, but Sugar Ray Leonard was taking the punch as well. Leonard absorbed the punishment, and in the midst of the attack, Leonard started firing back with a stellar display of speed and quickness. The 9th round had a lot of intense exchanges where the 2 prize fighters were frequently trading toe-to-toe. It was an awesome exhibit of heart and determination from both boxers, but Hagler was the one consistently landing the more damaging blows. I scored round 9 for Hagler, as did judges Moretti and Filippo, whereas Huera scored the round for Leonard. Ray came out for the 10th dancing on his toes while sticking and moving. Hagler landed some chopping shots to the body, and Marvin was doing a good job catching up with Leonard. But anytime Hagler started working effectively, Leonard almost always came back with some flashy firepower of his own. The 10th round was extremely competitive and at times scrappy. Hagler was still landing the more hurtful shots, but Leonard was taking them well and unleashing some blistering blows of his own. The 10th round was extremely close, but I thought Hagler edged it. Filippo also scored the round for Hagler, while Moretti and Huera both scored it for Leonard. Leonard continued boxing well in round 11, and Hagler resumed pressing forward while landing the more taxing shots. Hagler began landing some short punishing punches on the inside, and Leonard retaliated well. Hagler and Leonard both continued exhibiting admirable heart and determination, but Leonard was in command of the action and consistently outboxing the champion. I scored the 11th round for Sugar Ray Leonard, as did all 3 of the official judges. So going into the 12th and final round, Huerta had it a blowout for Leonard. Moretti had Leonard up 3 points, and Filippo had Hagler up 3 points. So unbeknownst to the 2 combatants inside the squared circle, as well as the millions watching around the world, Hagler would have needed a knockout, or at least a couple of knockdowns, to secure a victory in the eyes of the judges. In the 12th and final round, Ray's strategy was clear: box and move. And Hagler was chasing after him and doing everything he could to try and find his punching range. Ray did a lot of showboating this round, and he showcased a lot of flash with a dazzling display of speed and finesse. But I thought Hagler edged it with the better overall work. Ray had his moments, to be sure, and Leonard kinda stole the show, even if I thought Hagler was doing the better work. Because any way you slice it, Leonard had succeeded in overcoming the odds and defying expectations. I thought Hagler edged the 12th round, but you can make a case either way in this round. The same as so many rounds before this. In a bit of a twist, Filippo scored this round for Leonard, whereas Moretti and Huerta both scored it for Hagler. So as far as the official judges scoring the fight were concerned, Lou Filippo had it 115 to 113 for Marvelous Marvin Hagler. Dave Moretti had it 115 to 113 for Sugar Ray Leonard. And Jose Huerta had it 118 to 110 for Leonard. I myself had the same final score as Filippo, although it's interesting to note that we came about that score differently. The only scorecard here I have issue with is Huerta. 118 to 110 for Leonard? That scorecard in no way, shape, or form is reflective of the action that unfolded inside the ring on that fateful night in Vegas. I thought Hagler edged it, but I certainly can't say he was robbed. Leonard fought an outstanding fight. Sugar Ray had the perfect strategy going in to give himself his best chance to win, and he executed that strategy in sensational fashion. This was no robbery, and let me throw all my cards on the table here in the name of full disclosure. I first became interested in boxing after seeing Rocky III as a kid, and I remember asking my father, who was the heavyweight champion at that time? And he informed me that it was Larry Holmes, the Easton Assassin. My father, however, then went on to explain to me that even though Holmes was the heavyweight champion, that the best boxer at that time was actually a middleweight. I remember being fascinated as a young child while my father explained to me the concept of pound for pound for the very first time in my life. To be sure, my father was a Hagler fan, and like my love for the New York Yankees, I too became a Hagler fan just like my old man. In fact, the first boxing match I ever remember watching was Hagler versus Hearns, and the raw excitement that fight provided is what ultimately started a love for boxing that ultimately led to the creation of this channel. And my love for boxing to this day always reminds me of my formative years as a boxing fan with my dad, whom I miss dearly since he passed away over 8 years ago now. Here at Rummy's Corner, I strive to be objective when it comes to analyzing fights. But I confess, try as I might, I'm not without bias. Hagler was my first favorite boxer ever. So as much as I try to be unbiased in my analysis here, deep down, my inner child self wants to scream at the top of my lungs, Hagler was robbed against Leonard. But if I'm being honest now, even though I maintain that bout was a judging nightmare to score, with so many super close competitive rounds, I gotta admit, it's probably easier for me to find 2 rounds to flip Leonard's way than it is for me to flip 2 rounds in Hagler's direction. So what I'm getting at here is, the possibility certainly exists where perhaps I'm subconsciously giving Hagler every benefit of the doubt here. Either way, at the end of the day, this was no robbery. What Sugar Ray Leonard did on that night was something truly special. And even if the decision didn't go his way that night, it was still such a sublime effort from the great Sugar Ray Leonard. The fact that boxing fans are still debating this result more than 30 years after that matchup, that's one of the things I love most about boxing forums. It's a place where we can find like-minded individuals to discuss a shared love of the sweet science. And so the debate continues. How did you score the epic middleweight championship contest between Marvelous Marvin Hagler and Sugar Ray Leonard? Please share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed and have a wonderful night. This is Rummy's Corner.